away from you when you walk in the door, if we have to. All right?
Don't touch my phone.
Okay. So we're transitioning into two different aspects of Jesus' ministry this week. Last week, what did we talk about for those of you who were here?
I wasn't here, so
Talked about sheep.
It was okay, it was like didn't it start with an R? It was
started with an R.
Because we learned about it before, it was something. I remember learning about it though, I just can't remember the name of it.
Dalton.
Lost sheep, lost coin, and parables.
Okay, lost sheep, lost coin, lost sons. What are those?
Parables!
Parables. Right. Okay. Parables. There are a couple of you that weren't here last week. Those videos are up online. Okay. One of the ways that Jesus taught is through parables. He told stories. Stories that didn't just have one answer. Stories that open our imaginations to encounter. What were two of the questions that we asked last week? Dalton.
Who are we and who's God?
Okay, who are we? So parables help us to think about who we are. And another way. And also parables help us to ask the question, who is God? Or what is God doing in the world? So that's one aspect of Jesus' teaching. Alright? Jesus had other parts of his ministry. We're going to talk this evening about his healing. Alright? There are lots of instances where Jesus heals in the New Testament. So we're going to take a couple glances, or read a couple of stories and think about what do these stories teach us about Jesus. And then also Jesus spent a lot of time sitting at the table and sharing meals with people. So we're going to talk about that as well. First, as we get started, we're going to watch a video.
How many videos are you going to watch?
Wait, don't we need a paper?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
Why?
Please be quiet, guys.
The Ernest blocked it.
In the land of Phoenicia, a Greek province, then controlled by the Roman Empire, there once lived a woman and her young daughter, who lived a decidedly humble existence. At this time, the people of this land were known as Syrophoenicians and were roundly ignored by their Roman rulers. They were wholly despised and even persecuted by their neighbors, the nation of Israel. Mainly because they were Gentiles, which is another way of saying not Jewish. These challenges were only exacerbated when a child was possessed by a demon. At that time, her lack of status, her lack of money, her lack of Jewish heritage, and not to mention her lack of being a man, would have significantly reduced any chance of acquiring help for her daughter.
Hello. I was... Could you help? My daughter is... sick.
And the only help she could find was rather... unhelpful. She had asked everyone, tried everything, but to no avail. She had never felt more helpless in her entire life, which was saying quite a lot. She found herself left with one course: prayer. And then...
Jesus! It's the healer Jesus of Nazareth! He's here!
She had heard of this teacher named Jesus and of his compassion for the poor and sick, and for a moment she felt a glimmer of hope. But then she remembered something else she'd heard about this Jesus. He was a Jew. Historically, her encounters with Jews had not gone well.
Hey! What are you doing? That well's for Jews only! Get lost, you Gentile dog!
The likelihood that Jesus would help her was extremely slim. Still, she had nothing to lose. If she were to have any chance of getting help from Jesus, she would have to be assertive, even insistent. As she drew closer and closer, her apprehension grew, thinking of all the ways things could go horribly wrong. If not for the love for her daughter, she may well have turned back. Upon arriving, she was met by disheartening news. Jesus' disciples explained that he was utterly exhausted. When Jesus had first begun to heal people,
I can see!
he had attempted to be as discreet as possible.
I can see.
Nevertheless, droves of people were soon following him everywhere, to the point that he no longer had any time to himself. It seemed Jesus had not come all the way to a town to help anyone, but to get away from everyone. And that was that. Or rather, it would have been. Something arose in her, a fire, an unrelenting passion. She realized that this was her best and last chance to save her daughter. This time, no was not an option.
Yes!
No.
Yes!
No.
Yes!
No. Yes. Stop it. Yes. Fine.
Jesus was in no mood to be disturbed. Upon seeing Jesus, she realized that the disciples were not kidding. This may not have been the best time to bother Jesus, but at this point, what could she do?
Lord, have mercy on me.
She began to tremble, and Jesus' silence only raised her anxiety. Finally, Jesus spoke, telling her it was not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs.
That's right. Well put. Absolutely.
No one was surprised by his response. A Jew calling a Gentile a dog, amongst other names, was commonplace, as was denying them any level of compassion. However, what happened next surprised everyone, including her.
Yet even dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table.
Jesus was astounded by her faith, and told the woman that because of her faith, her daughter was healed. Her faith had healed her daughter. Her faith may also have done a great deal more. Up to that point, Jesus' ministry had been expressly for the nation of Israel, but not long after this, his ministry expanded to include Gentiles as well, a rather controversial move. And Jesus' disciples would continue this trend, reaching out to all people, regardless of race or nation, sharing the good news across the known world throughout the formation of the Christian Church.